Oh god. Whoa. Dude, these camera. Okay. No. Hold on. Dude. This camera work. Dude, incredible. Amazing cinematography. How long has it been actually? Great use of the dolly zoom there. Oh. Oh yeah. We just got a time skip. For the innies, it's instant. We don't know how long it's been. Fuck, I didn't think about that. Okay.
I suppose you're Mark S.
Who the fuck are you?
I'm Mark W.
Perché sta in piedi in modo strano?
Oh
Would you be open to using a
no.
different first name to avoid confusion?
Oh no.
In a minute.
Been a minute. Also, milkshake in the blue.
What you all did 5 months ago was one
5
of the most
months?
painful moments in the history of this company.
5 months?
I too was wounded by it.
5 months.
This is Miss Wong. Miss Wong, Mark S.
Hello.
She'll be happy to mind your balloons while we chat.
That is a minor. That is a child. Of course, milkshake's in.
Is it normal for a child to...
Excuse the clutter.
He's in Miss Cobell's office now. Obviously.
Miss Cobell is no longer with this company. I now manage the severed floor.
Oh.
I locked you in a room like an animal, Mark. As an unsevered man, I'll carry that knowledge the rest of my life. But for the past 5 months, we've been asking how a sadist like Harmony Cobell could take fertile root in Lumen soil.
A sadist.
And what that says about us. We believe she developed an erotic fixation on you
What?
and had plans to pursue both you and your outie in what might be termed a throuple.
I don't think that's the case, but... I mean, he's just giving excuses for Mark, right?
Your outie insisted on returning. In fact, he begged us to let him back right away.
So the others, they refused.
Yes.
Audi Mark wants Innie Mark back in because Innie Mark is the only access for them. No. I get it.
Enjoy your balloons.
Enjoy your balloons. Somehow Milkshake is more terrifying.
Did you really see the outie world?
Yeah.
Oh my god, how's wind? Is it just like getting breathed on, kind of?
Hello, refiners.
Hello, Miss Wong.
Let's head to the kitchenette.
I'm sorry. That is a child. Why is there a child here? Lumen, what's up with you? What is up with the company? Child labor all of a sudden? Okay.
Mark W.
Why are you a child?
Because of when I was born.
What a question. And what an answer. Why are you a child? Because of when I was born.
I am lucky enough to have made 4 new friends today.
That's nice, Mark. But I have to remind you that I'm a supervisor, not a friend.
Okay. What a start.
3 new friends.
Loving this music track though. It's very upbeat. Just like the start of the episode.
In my first perpetuity wing, the Egans were brooms.
Brooms?
Each with a face made of a plate.
A plate?
We were very poor.
You guys had...
We were very poor. Ah. Okay, okay. Clever.
Hey, everybody.
Dear Audi, I don't know if this will reach you, but I'm writing to alert you of the heinous conditions in the severed office to which you have transferred me. If you must continue to send me here, please consider strapping a bomb to me so that I may explode both Milkshake and the very spirit of Kier Egan.
Oh my god, who would have wrote this?
Oh my God, that's very serious.
I don't know why you hate this team.
I don't hate this team.
You didn't even disguise your own handwriting.
Well, yeah.
I told you, I want my team. Which part of that don't you understand?
You don't know what I did to the kitchenette yet, do you?
I am loving Mark's development so much.
Hello, is anyone there? Is the board on? It's Mark S. from Macrodata Refinement. Please, they're my friends. You can't just make them disappear. Please.
It is clear your Audi's fame has gone to your innie's head.
My innie just wants his co-workers back so we can serve Kier together.
Referring himself in the third person there, my innie, when he's talking to about himself as the innie. You know?
Why can't you just bring them back?
Goodbye, Marcus.
Okay. I don't think we've ever seen this painting before. 4 people kind of representing our team. Did we get another time skip?
Dylan!
Mark, did it work?
It worked.
Where are the others?
I don't know.
Kier pardons his betrayers?
That is them. Oh, man. Waiting for Helly.
Hallie!
So anyways, guys, I'm an Egan.
5 months, maybe more?
Is she gonna reveal it, though?
Come on.
Because that is such a sensitive information, right?
Okay, so what is going on? We're not in trouble?
I don't think so. I mean, Milchik said our message got out. He said we're famous.
All of us equally, or one of us is like the star?
I don't know, but then he tried to fire me, I think.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miss Wong.
Dylan's reaction is so good.
What the fuck is going on? Why is she like 8?
Oh my god, this is incredible. I love this first episode already. This is a great first episode.
Well, I wasn't trying to.
No, dude, I'm saying don't feel bad. Like, I'm sure they deserved it.
Ooh. You can feel that Helly's walking with a very heavy heart here, you know? Into the break room we go. Okay. Why was he longer? Is there a connection there? What's going on there? Does Miss Wong know about Irving? Does it have something to do with the fact that he knows about, like, the... What the fuck? What the fuck?
So I guess the board reconsidered my terms.
Lumen is
so.
listening. That's very reassuring.
Oh, hi. You probably don't recognize me from this angle. I'm the Lumen Administrative Building, Branch 501, and you're sitting in me right now.
Is that Keanu Reeves?
That tickles. When 4 NDR workers
This is
dissatisfied
incredible.
with their severed lives
This is amazing.
Human drama of danger and intrigue,
That's totally Keanu Reeves.
righteous anger,
That's totally Keanu Reeves.
inspiration,
Not so funny anymore, is it, Irving?
Here, still working in the dark.
and love.
Hey, hold on.
Shit.
How do they know? They know every line? They know every move? Stop!
By end of day, each of you will choose whether you want to remain here. Not your outies, but you.
Whoa.
If you start work on your file, I'll assume you want to stay. If not, I'll send you to the surface. No ill will.
Whoa.
Privacy shouldn't mean packing into a supply closet like so many sardines.
Kind of doubt that, but
Just before I switched back, I found a wedding photo. The woman in the photo was Miss Casey.
Then she's down here.
No, I went to wellness. It's gone. What about you? What did you see?
duh. She's not gonna say.
Saw the inside of a really fucking boring apartment.
Of course, she's not gonna say.
By yourself?
Yeah?
Whoa! Visual storytelling there. As we pan, you know, like we kind of blocked Helly there for a bit. A different face, right? A different person.
Sorry, guys. I really tried.
Damn. I mean, it's very obvious that
Yeah,
she doesn't want to say.
Gardner.
I think so. Maybe he has a different job during the day.
What about you, Irv?
Irving's already doubting her. I love that.
It's not our world up there.
Oh,
That's what I saw.
fuck.
Hey, Irv's gonna be okay, right?
Yeah. Did you guys look happy in the wedding photo?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I never, like,
Oh, shit.
So what are you gonna do?
Helly. Oh,
uh,
oh.
Though technically, strictly speaking, she's not your wife.
Dude.
Pretty sure you're out. You bought the ring.
Dude, what are they doing with Helly as a character? I'm loving this, but
Us and the Audis were not. And speaking for myself, I don't think we owe them shit. But Miss Casey is... well, she's one of us. I'll help.
oh. Ah.
I think I'm staying.
There's so much I want to talk about Helly right now. There's so much I want to talk about Helly right now.
I'm going to leave, Dylan.
It is not leaving, so stop fucking calling it that.
I know you
Just
want...
fucking try.
Oh.
You're a good friend, Dylan.
Oh.
I was standing in front of some kind of easel. My Audi was working on a painting of a hallway. Black hallway.
Good. Tell him, yes.
He painted dozens of them. Fuck, why? I don't know.
Any bird is the guy you fell for, and I know because I encouraged the courtship.
I want it to be over.
Okay, so then after you find the black hallway, or
I want the pain to be over.
you wouldn't want that
How do you know?
because I don't want that.
Dylan G,
Oh.
Mr. Milchick would like to see you.
I know, but they said it would be corrected by now.
Beautiful scene.
It should be Mr. Milchick. If someone calls about my welcome screen, I need you to put that call through immediately.
Yes, sir.
Priorities, man.
Your wife's name is Gretchen.
What?
Come with me.
Okay.
Take a look.
Audi family visitation suit?
It's called the Audi Family Visitation Suite.
Holy fuck.
The holiest. Sadly, everyone else in your department is single. As such, I'm asking that you keep this between us.
Are you...
Only to avoid resentment.
Oh, man. I mean, Milchick's just doing the same tactic that Lumen has been doing for the departments, right? But just more personal, right? Putting the individuals against each other, right? Conflict of interest. I had that kind of toy when I was a kid. Ooh. 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 Oh, hold up. Hold up. Storytelling in the editing. Hello.
Where's Irv?
Right here.
Hey. Ah! What was that? What was that? What was that? 68% of what? What was that? What are they doing with the Gemma? Is MDR's progress have something to do with Gemma's experimentation? Or... Cold Harbor ID number 02103733. I don't think those numbers mean anything. Cold Harbor probably means something. I don't know what PCKT stands for. Pocket? I don't know. What is going on, man? What is going on? This raises so many questions, right? This raises so many questions. Because if that is the case, then it kind of answers a little bit of my question of like, what is MDR doing? Like, what are the numbers for? Are they just is MDR on secretly helping whatever experimentation is going on the deeper level of the severed floor, unknowingly? I don't know, man. Shit. I don't know, but what a first episode though. I will say this first episode has been it's been incredible. This has been a really, really great first episode. The performances has been great, the music has been great, the cinematography. That first opening segment with the camera just moving around the spaces and following Mark with that was incredible. That was great. Which made me question, like whether or not this was just incredible cinematography, where they actually built the set and have the actors just run across the hallway and whatever, which again, like very clever if that is the case, because these camera rigs, they can be big, right? So you would have you need to be very clever in like moving and handling around the camera. That, or if they used CGI, right? If they use a 3D render to make some of the transitions and some of the moves, more doable, to say the least. I'm guessing it's gonna be like a bit of both, where they're gonna cut between actual footage and CGI footage back and forth. That might be the case, but regardless, it's an incredible feat of technical achievement, I would say. Like, I was great. Like, I was. It is like one of those moments where I felt impressed watching, watching a show or a movie, right? Genuinely impressive stuff. Man, where do we start when it comes to like the story? Because they just showed a lot going on here. Like, there's a lot that is happening that we can digest and we can just, hammer in and fully discuss and analyze. Oh, you know what? Let's just jump straight into it. Helly, because she was the character that I wanted to talk about the most. I am scared. I'm scared for Helly because I fear in a positive light, because if this is the direction that they are going with her character, then I think this could be incredible. But I fear that she might become the primary antagonist of the second season. Not just because of who she is on the outside. Okay, not just because that she is an Egan and she's one of the ones who are pushing the Severance program, this procedure, like, it's not just that, but also because of the fact that now there is a conflict of interest within the group of our innies. Lumen is dividing them, right, through various means. And, because that they went outside and they learn and figure out who they are and what the outside world is, that just brings in a whole heap of a whole heap of trouble, to say the least. A whole heap of conflict within them. Like, Irving's a good example of this. Like, he just immediately breaks down and go, yeah, why am I still here? They should just, I should just kill myself. You know what I mean? Like, thankfully, that is not the case. Thankfully, Dylan managed to persuade Irving to, to not end his innie life and to continue to live, to continue to move on. But you can definitely see like how heavy of a toll that is for Irving, and I would even say, not to put light on Irving's situation, I feel like some of our other characters, especially with Mark, for example, that I feel like the toll would be heavier, knowing that, your wife is still alive and probably being tortured or experimented on. Helly, probably the heaviest of them all, learning that you are the bad guy, right? But because of that, there is this conflict that is brewing up in this first episode that I really like, which is the characters going, well, the outies are the outies, we're the innies, right? There is this separation, there is a clear separation that they are trying to create for themselves, right? It's, for a lack of a better term to say it, they are refusing to accept reality. That is it. That's it. They cannot accept reality for what it is, and so they are, excuse the pun, severing themselves from the outside world. Right? It's their coping mechanism of realizing, oh, this is who we are on the outside. Right? Of course, there are some of the things that we need to pursue on to, for the betterment of our lives, for example, like trying to figure out like what Lumen is doing, potentially, saving Miss Casey, trying to, go against Lumen and whatever. Like, that's always been like their primary goal, right? That's always been like a shared interest. But again, like the stuff about Bert having a partner, the stuff about Helly being an Egan. Like these are things that these characters don't want to associate with, right? That's why they want to cut off from the outside, right? Which I find to be a very genius way of continuing the story and the themes of Severance, because now we're doing it the opposite way, right? Because this whole thing started when the outies don't want to accept their reality, and thus they create the innies. And now the innies don't want to accept reality themselves. Crazy, right? But going back to Helly in this regard, right? Helly feels like there is a character in a video game that I just recently played that reminds me heavily of Helly. I don't want to say who this character is because of potential spoilers, but I will say that the game is Clair Obscur. It's a great game. Just came out this year, Expedition 33. I'm sure most of you have probably heard about it by now. It's like one of the most talked about games right now. But there is one character in that game that reminds me a lot of Helly because of their, I would say like their progression as a character before and after learning about the truth. What I am fearing for Helly now that she knows the truth is that in her pursuit of burying that other self, she ends up becoming the same person. If that makes sense to you. Helly R right now, not Helena Egan. Helly R right now does not accept that she is Helena Egan. And what does Helly R do? Helly R, quote unquote, severs herself from Helena Egan, right? She flat out lies to her friends and colleagues that she just woke up in an apartment. That is not the case. We know that that is not the case, right? She does not want the truth to be revealed, right? And I understand why she doesn't want the truth to be revealed. It is a very hard pill to swallow, right? It's like if I was in Helly's position, how would I tell my friends that their suffering is because of me, right? The whole thought process of like, what if they turn against me? What if they are no longer my friends? What if they don't support me anymore? What if I am the bad guy? What happens then, right? A lot of things that can, that is probably in Helly's mind right now, right? Which is the reason why she lies to her friends, right? It's still a lie nonetheless, right? And there will be ramifications of this. There will be consequences. And eventually, they're gonna figure it out. Eventually, Mark, Irving, Bert, Dylan, they're gonna figure out who Helly is. That's just gonna happen. It's bound to happen. It has to happen, in fact. It has to, right? The whole point of the show is figuring out the truth. Eventually, that is gonna happen. But by building up this lie, right, she is going to build up this lie more and more and more, right? And the more she is burying this lie, the more her personality changes, the more it shifts, right? And what I am fearing is that the show is going to show us that it doesn't matter if you are an innie or an outie, you are still the same person. Whether it is in personality or in characteristics, how you behave. Because like the point of like the first season was that in the beginning, it shows you that these are two completely different people, but as the show progresses, the innies and the outies kind of slowly blend into one, and you would eventually realize that at the end of the day, they are still the same person, right? Which in a way could also showcase like the flaw of the Severance project, right? That you can split a person in half, but it's still the same person, at the end of the day. And that is what scares me. because the whole, again, like if we're talking about like the psychology of of our characters and who they are as people, as humans, then I would imagine that the show would eventually showcase, as I mentioned before, that who you are on the inside is the same as who you are on the outside, the innies and the outies, right? I'm just scared that Helly is going to slowly turn into Helena. That is terrifying, right? Slowly becoming the very thing she hates. Because the thing she hates is herself. Now I'm thinking of like, how she, like, how would she use this power, right? Because she knows, right? She knows that she's an Egan. She can use this to her advantage, right? In some capacity, right? In some form, right? If I was Helly, before, if I were to try to harm myself because I hate my other self, now I would think of the opposite. Now I would want to use the fact that my other self has power to my advantage, right? And again, that is what scares me. Because what if Helly uses that advantage and she may think of what she is doing is for good, right? Like maybe, for example, like hypothetically speaking, like she could use the fact that she's an Egan to pull some strings to make their lives better somehow. I mean, in this episode alone, we kind of see a glimpse of that when Mark talks to the board and he convinces the board to, to bring his team back. What is to say that Helly could not convince Helena, right, to do something, right? Like that could totally happen. That is a possibility. But again, with power comes responsibility. And with the way Helly is kind of behaving in this episode, I'm kind of scared that she might not have that responsibility to begin with. They made it perfectly clear in this episode, by the way. They were doubling down on the fact that Helly and Mark has a thing. They have a thing going on here, right? It's a romance. They kissed in the last season, and they showed it again in this season through a beautifully animated presentation, which I cannot really tell if that is CG done to that, if that is CG emulating puppetry or emulating stop motion, or if it is actually just stop motion animation in general. But either way, beautiful stuff, right? Beautiful presentation. But not only did they showed that they kissed, right, in that presentation, which also shows that Lumen was actually, they know. How do they know? Cameras everywhere, probably. Also, the fact that they know exactly the words and the lines that Mark used when he was talking to optics and design, like that whole speech, that was like word for word the same speech, the same whatever. So they have listening devices as well. Privacy is non-existent in Lumen, so I don't really trust when Milchick says that there is no cameras or whatever. Like, I'm on to you, Milchick. But yeah, they showed Helly and Mark kissing, and then after that, a couple of scenes later, the two of them are like walking, and then what does Helly say to Mark when Mark is talking about, like, my wife Gemma is here, she's alive? What does Helly say? Well, that's like your outie problem, but you're an innie. She's not your wife, Mark. She's your outie's wife. You're an innie, you have no wife. And Miss Casey? That's a different version. That's not your wife. And I'm like, Helly, what are you saying? What are you doing? I mean, I get it though. I understand completely. Helly is having a probably a mental breakdown, right? Because she does not want to associate with the outside world whatsoever, because she does not want to associate with the fact that she is Helena Egan, right? And so her escape of reality is to be with Mark, is to be inside of Lumen, to be in this building, right? Making sure that nobody knows who she is on the outside. And her only, like, the only person who she has actual feelings for, right? And she does not want to lose that, is now suddenly contemplating on whether or not if he actually has a wife or not. And we know that he does, right? And so what does Helly do? She just goes, yeah, Mark, don't think about your wife. She's not really your wife, even though she's alive. Think about me, though. Do you see why I am scared? Because I feel like that is exactly where they're gonna go with Helly's character. I'm scared. I'm scared. She's going down a path I can't follow. You know, I am scared that she is going to use Mark for her own for her own goals. And I am extra scared if she is going to be the one person in our team that wants the status quo to remain. I've talked about this in the last season, where initially I thought Irving was going to be the one who wants the status quo to, to stay, right? To not change. Because at the time, he was the one who seemed like the most devout to the company, to the Egans, while everybody else wants to, get the fuck out and hate the company. And especially with Helly, now it's like the opposite. Now Helly, which again, story-wise, I think it kind of makes sense to have the person who wants to get rid of the company for good in the very beginning to end up going, no, wait a minute, hold on. Let's keep the status quo. I don't mind living here. Because Lumen is paradise to me. The outside world is hell. I will not be surprised if that is going to be the case. I will not be surprised if Helly actually is going to say those words, that Lumen is paradise, that Lumen is heaven, just to run counter with what she said in the very beginning of season 1, where she said, is this hell? Is this hell? Man. What a character, though. I'm really enjoying what they're doing with Helly, and I cannot wait to see what they're gonna go with her character in the next set of episodes. I cannot wait for that. Oh, so that was Helly. There's still so many characters here that I need to talk about. I feel like Mark is the character that is still consistent with who he is from the last time we saw him in at the end of season 1. He's still, trying to figure out what is going on. He is still very his goal is still the same. Like, the goal has not changed. There's new goals, obviously. The quest line has been updated, but the main quest remains the same. Using video game lingo here, but yeah, I mean, Mark still wants to figure out what is going on, what is Lumen doing. We can't really have those answers because those are answers that only Helly knows, right? Helly knows what is going on with Lumen. She knows. She knows that Lumen is trying to make this global. She knows what Lumen is up to, right? She has the resources. She knows, right? But she refuses to say that because of, fear of her own life. Duh, obviously. So can't really fault her for that, even though she probably should have just told them, right? But again, understandable why she wants to hold back on that information for the time being. But Mark, still keeping it real. He's still um um he still wants to figure out like what Lumen is up to. Now there's the added goal of like trying to find Miss Casey, right? But overall, who he is as a person remains the same. He has not changed. He has developed, obviously. When he was talking to like the new MDR workers, his new colleagues, his new team, it was very hilarious. It was funny, but also it was again like Mark was literally doing a heli where he wrote the note and try to frame it on somebody for example, even though he did it it was a very poor job because he didn't really change his writing, but Mark is still Mark, and I love that for him. If anything, if anything, Mark should stay consistent from beginning to end. I think that's like one of the reasons why I enjoyed Mark as a character and why he is a good main character, to follow along. Whereas everybody else, they can falter and go up and down depending on like their own personal conflicts and their own personal objectives and such. Speaking of which, Irving, I already talked about him just for a little bit, but yeah, he wants to end his life. Eventually, not good. Got saved by Dylan's speech of you need to live, man. You need to live. Though, when Dylan asked Irving, "Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay?" And and Irving's like, "Yeah, I'm okay." Like, no, you're not. No, you are not. But it is good that you are here nonetheless. It is good that Irving is here nonetheless because it shows you that at the end of the day, as much as you want to beat yourself down, there is still that bit of that your inner self, yeah, your inner self still pulling you back. No, not pulling you back. No, that's not what I wanted to say. Your inner self pushing you forward is what I was trying to say. Because Irving is pushing on, right? He is still pushing on despite all of the negative thoughts that is telling him to stop, right? No, keep going, man. Keep going. That's great. It's beautiful. I would even say it was very beautiful. I enjoyed that. And it also goes to show, tying this to Dylan, it goes to show like what a good friend could do to you as a person, right? They're all good friends here. The team at MDR, one of my favorite groups of characters in any show. Now that I'm thinking about it, like this first episode of the second season pretty much solidifies it to me. Like that again, like that discussion between Dylan and Irving, that was beautiful, man. Like that was beautiful. It was very intimate. It was very personal for the both of them, right? And I really enjoyed. Yeah, it was great. They're all of their personality and all of their dynamic is just fantastic in the show. But yeah, speaking of Dylan, he's just a great guy. He really is just a great guy. He's like that type of person who's always there to support you no matter what. Like there's a reason why he chose to stay behind because he already saw the outside world, even though it's only for like a split second, right? For a couple of seconds, But yeah, that was great. It's beautiful. Also, while I was editing, like I think it was like episode 6 of Severance, I think when they were reading Rickon's book, there was like a passage that says something along the lines, paraphrasing here, but something along the lines of like, the best photo is with a group of friends or something along the lines like that, or like one of the biggest happiness in life is smiling with your friends or whatever. And that is perfectly reflected by the fact that by the end of the first season, I didn't really talk about this, like, but by the end of the first season, we saw what Dylan wanted, right, for his achievement, which is this, the glass. I don't really know what they're actually called. You know what I'm talking about, but the his gift, right, which is an etching of his friends during the photo. Like, that's sweet. There is an added context to that now, right? Because he genuinely sees these people as his family, right? That is his only family. And this brings up the conflict of interest, because now fucking Milchick over here going like, hey, so Dylan, we are introducing this new plan where we are gonna let people from the outside visit you, like your family visitation program or something along the lines, like, what do you say, Dylan? Like, what are they doing? It's genius. I really love the story of Severance, because it just immediately goes like, hey, so we have this character who loves his innie family. Now we're gonna try to take that away from him so he can be close to his outie family, even though he's gonna interact with them as his innie self and not his outie self, so like, Milchick, man, fucking Mr. Milchick. Somehow he is even more scary in this first episode. Maybe it's because of his promotion now that he is like the supervisor of the severed floor, replacing Miss Cobell. Speaking of, where is Miss Cobell? I guess what I initially thought of, like, her plan of like a last ditch effort to save her position of like, hey, I told you about all of these 4 macro data office workers who are being severed right now. They're gonna ruin your plans. We gotta stop them. Like there's a reason why she called Mr. Milchick, right? Like, I don't think there was any reason for her to do so if she was already fired to begin with, right? Like, she was already like cursing Lumen, saying like, that place should just burn to the ground, while she was having this breakdown on her car. But well, look what happened, like 5 months later, there's no signs of Miss Cobell whatsoever. Like, she's not in the severed floor. She's not with Lumen. She's not in this first episode. I saw her actress's name on the credits, though, like, that's just normal for like all of the actors being put on the credits, but still, though, being replaced by Mr. Milchick, of all people, and Mr. Milchick just smiling and having this really peaceful demeanor of like, we're all friends here. That is creepy, terrifying, very disturbing, but it's all so good. It's all so great. But yeah, I very much enjoyed all of the scenes with Mr. Milchick. The standout scene for me is definitely when, towards the end, he was just sitting there waiting for the text to change from Miss Cobell to Mr. Milchick, but it never did. I love that because, it kind of goes to show that he wants this position, but he hasn't earned the position somehow. Like, that's how I interpret it, because, again, it's like, he wants to get rid of Miss Cobell, but Miss Cobell is still there, right? It hasn't changed yet. And he's kind of sick and tired of looking at the words Miss Cobell, right? It's been 5 months. Why is my name not in there, right? Am I not in charge? You see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that is gonna get to Mr. Milchick somehow. But what I really enjoyed about that scene, about that moment, was the editing as it cuts from Mr. Milchick turning off the computer, right, to Helena, to Helly turning on the computer. And I've been kind of wondering of like, what the significance of that exactly, you know, like, because the first thing that is on my mind is that it signifies the loss of power for Mr. Milchick, or like the start of him losing power and the start of Helly gaining power, right? Because one turns off their computer, one turns on their computer, right? I might be reaching, I don't know, but that is like the first thing that is on my mind right now, right? It's how it you know, goes to show like these two characters who have power and they're dynamic. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Severance Season 2. This has been great. Also, Miss Huang. I almost forgot about her. Okay. We got child laborers in Lumen. What are we doing here? Hello. Probably the most unexpected development when it comes to new character introductions, but she does come off as terrifying, and I salute the actress who is portraying her. I don't actually know if the actress herself is actually young or she just looks young. I don't know. I genuinely, I don't know, because sometimes, you know, with child actors, you know, sometimes, you know, you have people who are like in their 20s portraying teenagers and such. I don't want to make assumptions. I haven't really looked it up. But she was great. She was great. Miss Huang though, when she was opening the door to the break room and people, you know, walk there one by one, there was this moment that is longer than everybody else, and that is when Irving was there and he was the last person to come in, and they have this stare off between each other, and I was wondering like, what is the significance between that? Because everybody else, you know, like they go in one by one, you know, like they go in, they look at her, and then they go in, you know, like very quick. Irving, on the other hand, there was like a good solid couple of seconds where they are just looking at each other. And I was like, what is going on here? Do they know each other? I don't think Irving knows her, but I feel like she knows Irving, right? Considering that Irving knows about the dark hallway with the elevator going down into the deeper levels of the severed floor, you know, like the basement of the basements, could that be a connection here? Like, is that how she knows? Because I was also wondering, like, who is she to our other characters? A thought comes to my mind, but I don't think this is true. I feel like this is completely wrong, but there was a split second where I thought, is she like the daughter of Gemma and Mark? But I was like, no, that doesn't really make any sense, because, you know, like the timing and her age, when did Mark and Gemma also met for the first time? Like, I don't, you know, I feel like that's, you know, that's not the case. I don't feel like that's the case at all. Because I was remembering back to when Mark was telling Alexa about like them trying to have kids, right? But it just never happened. I don't know. But yeah, if anything, I do feel like there is a bigger connection with Miss Huang and Irving than there is between her and Mark, but we shall see. We shall see. I think that's pretty much it for what I want to say when it comes to this episode of Severance. For the time being, I don't know. I feel like there's more that I should say, but not a lot is coming into my mind right now. I might have some more once I rewatch this episode. I might actually talk about it at the start of the next episode reaction. But again, like, we shall see. But anyways, that is it for Severance Season 2, Episode 1. What a beginning. A lot of conflicts being brewed. You know, it's very apparent that, you know, Mr. Milchick and Lumen in general are both trying to reintegrate our main group into the company while also trying to keep them in the company by any means possible. I mean, it worked the first time, and by the first time I mean it worked that they chose to undergo the severance procedure, right? What is stopping them from doing it again, but this time to convince them to stay, right? Stay in our, in our paradise. Don't think about like the outside world. It's not what you think. And it's kind of working for certain characters. And also, something that we haven't really seen from the first episode, which I am kind of guessing we will see in the second episode. I will be shocked if this is not the case, but we haven't seen the Audis themselves. We've been hearing about the Audis in the first episode, but we've never really seen, you know, what happened to them after the last season ended. So that would be very exciting. That would be very, it will add more to the story, because that is like a big chunk of the character development that we are currently missing, right? We don't know what happened afterwards, especially after 5 months, which is a really long time, if we are to believe that 5 months has passed. Okay, if we are to believe that is the case. Because, you know, Mr. Milchick is the one who said it. Who's to say that he's lying to them? But let's just assume that it is 5 months. That is a long time. A lot can happen on the outside in 5 months.
We're not happy. We're miserable.
Here we go.
They torture us down there.
Here we go.
She's alive!
They gotta figure out who he means. They don't know who he means. Shit. Ah, damn it, bro. If they spent more time just in that moment, Devon would have probably figured out who Mark means if she sees that he's holding Gemma's. Ah.
Fetid moppet.
Father? I'll have someone from the floor liaise with the Audis.
Great shot. Oh. Yeah, that's an incredible shot. The use of contrast there. Beautiful.
I need you to go see all of them. Find out every word they said and who they said it to.
This is some really nice use of leading lines. And squares. Control. I can't really explain it properly. Miss Cobell?
Please. Sit. Thank you for acting so quickly. You saved us from disaster, which is why we'd like to ask you back.
Okay.
An apology is warranted. My father apologizes. The board apologizes.
I'm afraid you don't mean it.
We'd like to offer you a promotion.
Oh. Oh.
Severance Advisory Council.
Advisory Council.
It's a brand new initiative. You'd be spearheading its formation.
What a shot. Lovely use of mirrors as well. Reflections, I mean.
I should be running the severed floor.
Mr. Milchick has been promoted to floor manager.
You don't value me.
Ooh.
You fear me.
Oh.
I'll put some thought to it.
Okay. It does beg the question though, why does she want to still be in the severed floor? Exactly. Like it must be a personal thing for her, right? To refuse such a promotion. Although, you know, the promotion itself is kind of, skeptical.
Earlier this evening, at an event where I was excited to share my status as a severed individual with a group of friends and allies, I made the poor decision to consume alcohol while on a non-lumen medication for an arm rash.
Ah, Mr. Milchick.
Apologies for the hour. How's your night been, Mr. Bailiff?
Fine. They're showing Barbara of Seville on TV, so I've just been here.
Wonderful. And you're feeling well? We just need to know if anything of note occurred.
Why don't you tell me what's going on, Mr. Milchick? You're firing me?
When Lumen falters, it's our cherished workers and their families who suffer first.
You were involved in a physical altercation with another employee this evening.
Oh, beautiful.
Did I break something? I can pay. I have cash upstairs.
Nah, Irving. Nah, something about Irving though, because Irving has to wake up in front of Bert's house, goes back to his own house, and then he's lying to Milchick here. He's lying. Because Irving absolutely knows that he woke up in some other place, right? He knows something's wrong. Oh, new intro. Oh. Whoa. Whoa! Whoa! Gemma and Hallie was on the elevator there. The two lovers.
I'm not the only one who heard you say it. It's like I made this up.
Right.
We can reschedule the reading to next month. It's fine.
So you said she's alive?
If I may.
Talk about it.
I have to say, Mark, he really is a jewel.
Guys, obviously I was referencing the baby.
And then when Patton found Eleanor...
Saved her, I'd still say.
Okay, whatever. Yes, you still had it with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the only thing that makes sense.
No. No.
And assuming that she's alive really was about the baby.
Well, you don't think it was?
I do think it was.
Then why are you saying it like that?
I don't... Sorry, I'm just...
Because she's not thinking that it was. I feel like Devon's like afraid to, to actually say it. Because she fears it at the same time.
He was inspired by my book. He found great meaning in it, profundity. Oh, God damn it, Rebecca.
Oh no, it's Mr. Milchick, isn't it?
I'm just trying to
Good evening,
get...
Dr. Hale. Good evening. Seth Milchick from Lumen.
Fuck. It is.
You must be Devon.
She is not happy. Good. She's got the right idea. She's hiding the... She knows. She absolutely knows.
Any Mark was here. In this house.
I know, I talked to him.
Jump straight into it. No lies. Okay.
If I tell you, are you going to punish him for it?
We have no punishments at Lumen.
Uh-huh.
Devon's kind of goated. She's kind of goated in this episode.
Yeah, speaking of violations, just wondering how common it is for your managers to commit fucking lactation fraud against their employees' families.
Oh.
What we learned tonight is that she is quite severely unwell. She will never descend to that floor again, nor bedevil you out here any further. Is there anything you can tell me?
No, I mean, we're very tired.
Yes,
Good.
we are.
Good.
What your innie did tonight was completely unauthorized. It was also very brave.
The way he treats Mark differently, probably because of Gemma, right? Because they're experimenting on both of them, terminating Irving and Dylan, but Mark, see you next Monday. Speaking of Irving, I feel like Audi Irving is the only one aside from Mark, aside from Mark and Helly, I guess, who knows what is going on here. Milchick, for all he knows, thinks that Irving probably woke up, Irving woke up and was just rummaging around his house for the entire 39-minute duration, right? Like, he wouldn't know that Irving was in front of Bert's house.
You think we're about to meet our spouses?
Maybe.
Maybe it's each other. That'd be a hoot.
Yeah, like
Yeah, okay, this is how they know about this moment.
You're cutting them wrong.
Is she enjoying this? Well, obviously she wants to know, right? Beautiful shot. Beautiful shot. Ugh. The thought of her just rewinding that moment. Dude! This is also really good. Man, the cinematography in this show is peak. You can still see Lumen in the distance there.
How old were you when you knew you loved doors?
5.
Flat finish or eggshell?
Semi-gloss.
That's hot. You play on Fridays. There's a fun prize if you win.
You mean a door prize?
I thought that was a good joke.
Yeah, I was a Severed employee, so
You're a Severed.
yes.
Oh,
Well, Mr. George, thanks for coming in.
What?
We'll consider your application thoroughly. You want to circumcise your brain, that's your business. But it doesn't mean I have to hire you. And personally, I think it's abhorrent.
wow. It's great that we're showing this, though. It's to show that not everybody in this town agrees with Lumen's practices. Or Lumen in general,
Read the room. I would have picked up the phone if it was good news.
Oh, I'm sorry. You'll get the next one.
Oh. His wife?
I went by there. No one answered the door, though.
Well, I was just thinking maybe there was a way we could confirm what your any meant.
You remember I identified her, right?
Yes, Mark.
I saw her body.
Yeah, I know.
Hmm.
I know, but you're not the only one her death affected.
Oh, really? It affected you?
Yes.
Did you have to tell her parents that she was dead? Did your sheets smell like her for weeks afterwards?
Oh, man.
You know what? Honestly, if Rickon died and his body burned,
Okay.
I'd be...
Okay.
I just want to be sure.
I am sure.
I understand why Mark is lashing out, though. Like, it's a very dick move, but he's also like, when someone tells you, like, hey, this person who you always thought is dead is maybe alive, you would probably lash out as well, like some sort of sick joke, you know? Oh, fuck, it's that dude. Who is he calling? Is he calling Bert? What? Ragabi? Is he talking to Ragabi? Bert is what? I mean, kind of makes sense. You bang on his door and then you probably, you know, left. Yeah. Ooh. I'm really invested in... That could be anyone. Of course it's Milchick. But also the fact that Mark was trying to fix the light bulbs.
Yeah, come on in.
Thank you. How happy are you with your current financial compensation? I ask because our endearment to you is such that a 20% bump is on the table, should you return. My third question concerns your late wife, Gemma.
Go on. What about her?
What about her?
Exactly.
You cited her death as a primary motivator for severing.
Yes.
Do you remember what you said?
Do tell.
You said since she died, every day feels like a year. That you felt like you were choking on her ghost. The Mark I've come to know at Lumen is happy. He's found love.
Love? With who?
Oh.
The solace you have given him down there will make its way to you.
Oh. Milchick, you evil, evil man. But Mark's not gonna buy all of that, obviously. She's watching him.
Are you satisfied with this?
His sister seems more uppity than he is.
I had 48 hours to pull this together. Hopefully there will be some chemistry.
We don't need chemistry. We need Mark S. back to work. Long enough to complete Cold Harbor.
Cold Harbor! The thing with Gemma.
Good night, Mr. Scott.
Good night, Judd.
Okay, so the 5 months...
Morning, Judd.
Okay, that's kind of a lie.
If we truly are the face of severance reform, as you say, then they deserve a chance. Mark! Please, they're my friends. You can't just make them disappear!
Of course, I bear full responsibility.
The board's gonna give him what he wants, including LAR.
This is unheard of.
I'm sorry, Mr.
3 days of work. I broke a fucking lease in Grand Rapids. Fucking touch me. Fuck you, Lumen!
I love that this has been one take so far. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. Oh, Helena. I love how the music changed. Like the tone of it changed when we finally switched to her. Ah. Mrs. Selvig.
Where do you think you're going?
What do you care?
I love how she does not care about the facade anymore. Like, she's not changing her tone or whatever.
You were in my house. I ate your shitty fucking cookies.
Tell him.
Why did you do this? What the fuck is this all about?
Do you know something about Gemma?
Shit. Her expression alone is already an answer for Mark. Is she gonna spill? I mean, that's one way to spill. Come on, Mark. That was a great episode. So many stuff happened, man. Who was Irving talking to on the phone? You know? My innie got the message. First thought was that he's probably talking to Ragabi because she's like the only other character that we know of that is like going against Lumen, that is not part of the main group. But then Bert appeared stalking him in the car. I mean, there's a lot of assumptions on that matter, you know? Also, Devon, she's the GOAT. Okay? She's the GOAT. Yeah, this episode's great. Really great. Got exactly what I wanted. Just, you know, lay out what happened to the Audis. Changes a lot of the dynamic for the innies. Cannot wait for more. Okay, that was Severance, Season 2, Episode 2. Another fantastic episode, in my opinion. That was great. What a great follow-up to the first episode. I would probably lump Episode 1 and 2 as like the opening episode. Like the actual intro to Severance Season 2, because, you know, we need to see both sides, right? We need to see the side of the innies, and we need to see the side of the Audis, and getting to see what the Audis are experiencing, and I guess the overall fallout of the last season was really, really well done in my eyes, because it is so juicy. there's so much stuff that is basically happening in this episode. It's all jam-packed. So many mysteries, so many new questions being being thrown at us, the audience. And it's just so good. It is really, really good. Also, I don't think I forgot if I've ever talked about this throughout my discussion of the first season, but the pacing has been phenomenal. It's been great. Like, these episodes range from like, you know, over 40 minutes, 50 to an hour long, right? They don't feel like they're hour-long episodes. They feel short, which, you know, it's a huge compliment. The pacing has been just really, really well done. And of course, the cinematography, it needs no, you know, I don't have to talk about it every time, but I do want to talk about it every time. The cinematography in this show is incredible. It is fantastic. It is beautiful. Every shot sometimes just feels like a lot of thought being put into it. And I feel like with just this episode alone, I guess with like season 2 in general so far, they've been showcasing like really, really interesting, well put together shots that, in my eyes, I feel like there's more to them. You know, if we peel the layers one by one, we see, you know, if we dive deeper into a lot of these shots, they will reveal a lot more. But overall, it's been fantastic. It's been great. Speaking of shots, I think the one shot that really caught my eye very early on, which I wanted to talk about it during the review, during the reaction, but you know, things are happening, things keep going. I can't really talk about it at length, but it was the shot where Helena was walking from right to left, and the camera is on the outside looking towards her, as like these these window panels kind of going through her and whatever. Let me see if I can pull that up. This shot right here, like I talked about control, I believe, during the reaction, but order is the more appropriate term that I was trying to find. Basically, this reminded me a lot of a let me see if I can find it again. This page from Frame Inc., a really good book about framing, cinematography, shot compositions for movies, mangas, comics, anything really. It's a really good book if you're an artist and if you want to get references. But basically, this part talks about order and chaos, and specifically this part when it's talking about order. I'll just read it out loud. We would have a rigid, cold, overpowering beat in which the characters can get lost or overwhelmed in a well-structured maze. If the image represented the space deliberately chosen by the character to live or work in, then all the adjectives applied to the building would also apply to him or her, defining and establish a full personality. When Helena was just walking there, and it was just basically just this, I was like, okay, they know what they're doing, and it's really, really cool, because ultimately it is a show of power. It is a show of control, as I kind of mentioned before, right? What it is that who Helena is as a person. Because in a way, all of these very well structured, orderly framings for the shot in question, in this case, like the window panels and whatever, it represents a fully controlled environment. Helena being one of the top people of Lumen, in fact, kind of like the next CEO, if we're being honest here, right? Like she is next in line, unless I have, unless there is information that I missed. She is the one who is in control, right? At least that is what we are supposed to be thinking. I mean, we know, like Mr. Egan here, Helena's, I'm forgetting, father or grandfather. Why am I misremembering? Pretty sure it's his father, right? But regardless, he's going out. He's showing age, right? The whole point of this is to prepare Helena to to take the reins, right? To be the next CEO, to take control. And she is kind of showing that force in this episode, right? When she is kind of commanding or telling Cobell, all of this stuff about like, we care about you so much, which is why we're putting you far away from Lumen as an advisory council. We're putting you far away from the severed floor, even though that is exactly what Cobell wanted in the first place, to be in the severed floor. She doesn't want to be an advisor. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, Helena, what a character. And the same thing can be said about Milchik as well, in what I was kind of describing in terms of like order and chaos. Milchik, that, there was that shot when Milchik was standing center frame as Lumen is powering off or shutting the lights. And he was just standing there up in like in the balcony or whatever. Great use of contrast as well during that moment, because he's wearing, a white shirt and everything is going dark. So it's really well, the lighting, everything is so well planned. But it is also very menacing at the same time, because not only we are playing with the idea that he is also trying to gain control, right? He's trying to gain control of these people and gain control of, I guess, like the floor in general. And who knows, maybe Lumen, we don't know what his master plan is, but so far it seems he just wants, at this point, he just wants like a full control, full supervision of the severed floor. What interest does he have on this severed floor remains to be seen. Same thing with Miss Cobell, which, again, we'll talk about her later. But also, like the angle of the shot, it's a low angle shot where we're looking upwards. Milchik is very commanding, his position of high power and whatever. Beautiful stuff, man. Again, like the cinematography in the show is phenomenal. I could go for forever talking about a lot of the shots in this episode, if we're being honest here, but we gotta move on. Still speaking of Helena, since we were in the discussing about her, the other thing that really, really messes with me was when she was looking at the kissing tape. When she was looking at her innie kissing mark, and then she rewinds, watches it again, and I keep wondering, like, what is she thinking during this moment? What is Helena thinking when she sees Helly kissing Mark? Your innie developing a love life outside of you. We don't know what her, I guess, again, like her love life, her sex life on the outside is. We don't know, right? But the fact that she was so interested, infatuated, the fact that we keep zooming in on her eye, again, beautiful shot, kind of wondering like which shot do I want to use for the YouTube thumbnail eventually. But the fact that we were zooming in closer and closer and closer to her eye to get a better view of like the reflection of like the tape, it's so fascinating to me. Because again, like I don't know exactly, I can't really figure out exactly what she is currently thinking at that moment, right? Because I don't know much about Helena as a person. I know who Helly is as a person right now, but we haven't spent much time with Helena, right? Can't really make full proper judgment yet. But what could happen, right? What could happen is she could slowly develop feelings for Mark as well. If somehow the subconscious of the innie could transcend and reach the subconscious of the outie as well, like feelings and whatever, which is kind of what Milchik was insinuating to Mark near the end of the episode, which I kind of find bullshit at first, right? But at the same time, it's also like, well, the whole point of the show is to showcase that these two characters, the innies and the outies, are at the end of the day just the same person, right? So who is to say that love can transcend both? We already kind of see it in the first season. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might take my words back, because Mark was making the tree, right? When he was having the counseling with Miss Casey. And Mark doesn't really know like the significance of the tree. He just wanted to make a fucking tree for some reason, right? But we know why it is a tree specifically. But yeah, Helena looking at like the kiss and whatever, like that's one thing, right? Helena slowly slowly forming a sort of relationship, but I doubt that is going to happen. What I think could happen, and I think what is more believable and the more evil, I guess, believable and evil is that she could use this as leverage, as a opportunity to somehow manipulate Mark. You know, because here's the thing, new thought just came into my mind right now. Is it possible for her specifically, for Helena specifically, to bypass the severance switch when she is in the severed floor? Because we know that can happen on the outside, but can it happen on the inside? Can an innie be awake in the severed floor? That remains to be seen. I feel like if your innie can be awake, if your innie can be awake on the outside, what is stopping your outie to be awake on the inside? Right? That was what I was trying to say. I think I said the opposite. I think before that I said like your innie on the inside. Whatever. If that is the case, if that can happen, Helena can do a lot of heinous shit. Let's just put it that way. If Helena, not Helly, if Helena is on the severed floor and she has all the power, and if she has been studying Helly through various tapes and various, recordings and whatever, history logs or whatever Lumen has, that, that they pretty much own these people, so, she can stir up more conflict. She can also convince a lot of our main characters to stay. And she can also manipulate Mark into falling in love with her. And that is like the crazy part. That is the crazy part. Because if that is the case, and I know that can happen, and especially with Helly on the, innie Helly thinking kind of the same thing of like, well, I don't want Mark to focus on the out. Well, no. Innie Helly is more concerned of herself, but by doing so, she also has to extend, her priorities to her other friends as well, right? Like, she doesn't want to associate herself with the outside world. She wants the status quo to remain. That is how I believe it. And by doing so, she has to convince her other friends as well, right? So if that is the case, what is stopping Helena from helping Helly achieve her dream of keeping the status quo? Could that happen? I don't know. It seems out of character for Helly at first, but with recent developments, who knows what can happen, right? Who knows? And that is what scares me again. Helena is scaring the shit out of me in this season. Because, again, like, they have the potential to be a real nuisance. Nuisance in the sense that they will be a major obstacle for our other main characters. And I'm speaking this as more of a, as a positive to both the show and the character writing. Because while I do think that would be terrifying and terrible, but at the same time, I think it would create such an incredible and gripping storyline, because then it would also create conflict for us, the viewer, as well, because I really love Helly as a character. I don't want her to go down this route, but it can happen. So that's like the worry, right? And with Mark having to deal with Gemma, it's also like the opening credit scene, opening animation, where by the very end, it flashes back and forth between Helly and Gemma. In fact, I'm gonna double check on that and make sure that I wasn't just making sure that what I saw was right But what an incredible opening as well, by the way. This opening, the opening animation in this season is also great. Yeah, it is. It totally is. It totally is. It's Helly and Gemma switching back and forth on that elevator. So I see that as more of a Mark having to choose between who he wants to save. I feel like that could also be like a possibility for the end of the season where Mark has to make a choice, which oftentimes in these kinds of stories where you have a choice between quote unquote paradise or the real world, red pill, blue pill, what do you want to choose? The real world, the Matrix? What do you want? Right? You got to make the choice either way, and by choosing one or the other, you are sacrificing one world, one life, right? And I feel like Helly and Gemma represents that. Helly represents the innie world, and Gemma represents the outside world, the real world, right? And Mark has to choose who he wants to save. The question is, which Mark is choosing though? Is it gonna be innie Mark choosing or outie Mark choosing? I feel like it would obviously make more thematic richness and makes a lot more sense if innie Mark is the one making the choice. Because innie Mark making the choice for outie Mark, there's so much like that is a lot to unpack on that alone. We're talking about like your inner self choosing for who you are on the outside and whatever. But anyways, that's a thing that I'm kind of worried now. Worried in the sense that I fear that might happen. Mark having to choose between one person or the other, and by choosing one person or the other, he is essentially betraying the other one because he's not choosing them. And if Mark chooses Gemma, and I feel like he is gonna choose Gemma, and essentially abandoning Helly, right? That's gonna yikes. That's all I'll say. That is a yikes situation that I do not want to think about. But we're like theorizing the end of the season here. Let's dial it back a bit. Let's hold on. Let's talk about Irving. let's pivot immediately to Irving. Irving being on his house immediately makes me go, I am suspicious of you, and the suspicion is correct because eventually Irving makes the call and tells, we don't know who yet, could be Ragabi, could be somebody else, but he makes the call of like, my innie got the message, right? To me, that is immediately a direct response that Irving woke up outside of Bert's house, so he knows that his innie has switched and has went there. Because obviously he needs to go back to his house because that is where Milchik found him. But yeah. What is Irving up to? That has been like the question since we kind of learn about the fact that Irving knows about the elevator to the deeper levels of the severed floor. What does he know? Like, what is what is Irving's like history with Lumen before all of this? Tying back to like the first episode of season 2, does it have something to do with Miss Huang, for example? Like that really purposeful stare off between the two of them in the last episode. Like, I'm still thinking about it. Like, what is their connection? What does she know that Irving doesn't? What if Irving I think I've talked about this in the first season discussion. I could be mistaken. But What if Irving, or got his mind wiped at one point and then he restarted again at Lumen, which is who he is now? And by mind wiped, I mean like his innie got mind wiped and whatever. But at the same time, like, how does that explain how his outie know about all of this? Like there's so much about Irving that I wanna know. He has been such an incredibly mysterious character that I am very invested in him a lot. Probably like my second biggest investment in this show, aside from like, I guess the whole Mark and Helly Lumen main stuff. Irving's side plot, this is what I'm like also kind of very interested in, because what is going on with him? But anyways, like he totally fooled Mr. Milchick there. Obviously Mr. Milchick doesn't know that Irving was in front of Bert's house. But who probably knows who was in front of Bert's house is Bert himself. Which leads to the whole thing with Bert appearing on the car looking at Irving suspiciously, and I'm like, what is going on here? Because again, like, we don't know what happened in between the time when Irving was banging on Bert's door and him already at his apartment, at his house. Like, we don't know, right? We don't know what happened, what transpired there. But something definitely happened because Bert is kind of stalking him. Two things can be the case. There are two possible things. One is that Bert wants to know more about Irving, right? And the whole showcasing Bert in a very menacing and very mysterious manner as he is, stalking Irving in the car is just meant to divert us from the fact that he was just kind of curious. He wants to know, right? Maybe again, this is the whole subconscious of the innie clawing its way into the outside and kind of messing with their emotions and whatever and their curiosity. Or two, he's working for Lumen, and that's the one that I don't want. That's the one that I don't want. Because Lumen terminated Bert very early. And then what? They're just gonna let him go? I feel like if that is the case, I feel like Lumen has more plans for Bert. So again, like, either this is just a normal response from Bert, trying to figure out who this Irving guy is who's knocking on my door nonstop at night, or he's actually spying him and secretly reporting back to Mr. Milchick like, hey, this dude who was banging on my door, I don't know. Obviously, he hasn't told Mr. Milchick any of that, because if he did, then Mr. Milchick would have known, right? But there is no indication whatsoever that Mr. Milchick knows about all of that. So, again, cautious. I'm cautious about Bert in this situation. Speaking of Mr. Milchick, as I've already talked about him, he's very menacing at this point. I don't know what his aim is. I don't know what his goal is for the severed floor. Maybe he just wants power. Again, we don't know, right? I feel like there is an ulterior motive here. Because again, like, this goes back to like how Miss Cobell's her quote-unquote failures in the severed floor was reported somehow, right? And we don't know who reported it. Although I feel like it's heavily implied to be Mr. Milchick, right? So if Mr. Milchick purposefully told the board or whatever about Miss Cobell's I guess, mishandlement of the severed floor, or her failures of the severed floor, or her basically going rogue, right? Drilling into, a dead employee's like brain, trying to get the chip and not telling the board about all of that. Hiding secrets, are we? Like, if that is the case, then why is he doing this? Why is he ratting her out? If that is the case, again, like, we don't know for sure, but what if that is the case, right? Why? Why is the question? What does he want? Because I don't think he just wants power. I don't think he just wants control of the severed floor. No, he wants something else, but I cannot put my finger on it. What it is? It could be something about the past. It could be, right? Again, it's I mean, it usually is, right? Something probably happened in the past with Lumen, and he's probably doing this to gain control of Lumen. I don't know. Or maybe he just wants to see the world burn. Maybe he does just wants to get power in the severed floor. Who knows? Maybe. But Milchick himself, already lied to Mark that it has been 5 months. It has not been 5 months. Because that was like the thing that caught me by surprise in the first episode reaction, which was when Milchick said, well, it has been 5 months. And I'm like, what? 5 months? How did this happen? It's not been 5 months. It's more like 5 days. It's more like 5 days, if we're being honest here. Because, like, Lumen works fast. I mean, we do see a lot of renovations on the floor. Like the new painting mural that we saw in episode 1 after the board approved of Mark's request, where everybody gets to be back. I feel like that was only like a day. That's just like a day. Because Lumen has the resources. They have the technology. They have the manpower. They can just change things, whatever, on the severed floor if they want to. So, yeah. The 5-month thing, that is, again, that is a full-on lie from Milchick. Even the newspaper that he gave to our characters, where he says like, "Oh, you guys are famous now in on the outside world," and that paper and the paper picture that they showed in the first episode, on the newspaper, where I believe, if I remember correctly, like they're on top of like a car and they're like waving and whatever, like they're celebrities or whatever, like probably AI generated. You know what I mean? Lumen probably fabricated that shit pretty quickly for, all to manipulate them, obviously. It's all to manipulate them. Milchick saying like, yeah, there's no cameras or whatever, like that is a fucking lie, obviously, which is why I don't really trust him when he said like the break room is very private. Like, I don't believe it. I don't. Why would I believe you? You are the bad guy. You're the enemy. Why would I believe you? But yeah, like, I don't know what his deal is. I still don't know like his main motivator at this point, aside from just climbing up the corporate ladder. And I hope we get to see more of this. It's again, like, it's another mystery that I do want to see, if it is actually a mystery. If it, speaking of the corporate ladder, Miss Cobell. Let's talk about her. So obviously what I kind of said about Miss Cobell doing all of this, even though she got fired, was so that she could get on Lumen's good graces again, with the hopes that she could get reinstated back as like the severed floor's supervisor, manager, or whatever. Well, that didn't happen. That did not happen at all. Instead, they were like putting Miss Cobell as an advisory counselor or whatever. She does not want that. She wants to be on the severed floor, like specifically on the severed floor. That is what she wants. And why is that again? Just like Milchick, I cannot put my finger on it. Why? Going back to season 1, when we saw the Egan shrine in Miss Cobell's house, so there was a picture of a school, like an Egan school or whatever, right? And then there's like the little girl, and then there's like like a name tag label or whatever that says Charlotte Cobell, I believe, or Charlotte Harmony, is more correct, I believe. Charlotte Harmony, I believe, is Cobell's mother. I thought Charlotte Harmony was actually Cobell, like just a different name. But now that I think about it, and I feel like somebody else in the comment section already mentioned, like that's Charlotte Harmony and not Cobell, because they said that the age or whatever, the birth date, very different. Minor detail, I don't know if it's like really important or not, but regardless, if that is the case, that means her family is very much tied to the Egans, right? School, in this regard, and let's just assume that Miss Cobell also went to this school. If that photo is of Miss Cobell, because I wasn't sure if that photo was of her mother at school or if that is just her at school. We don't know, but let's just say that it is her at school. That means that she was more quote-unquote brainwashed by the Egan culture before, I would say before Lumen was even a thing, right? So there is that really tight connection for her personally to this ethos, to this, to this ideology. Why she wants to stay in the severed floor specifically is still a mystery to me. But I feel like we are going to get those answers soon enough, and those answers are going to be tied to those schools. Because currently speaking, while Miss Cobell has always been shown as the antagonist of season 1, one of the primary antagonists, or the major obstacle, she pretty much flipped the moment they fired her, right? It was very brief, because when opportunity presents itself, she immediately takes it and tries to, get on their good graces again. But there is a period where Miss Cobell was pretty much saying, fuck you, Lumen, I hate you, screw that bitch, and and all the slurs and all the curses and whatever. And she was also the one who was kind of leaning in on Mark and saying, Mark, just get the fuck away from that company, you're only gonna find bad stuff, it's like her world just crumbled. She does not believe in the system anymore. For a while, for a time period. Even though it is a short time where she was against Lumen, it shows that there is a part of her that is against Lumen. So, what if, again, theory crafting here, what if she's actually a quote-unquote good guy, in the sense that she wants to be... No, never mind. I thought I was cooking, but then I was remembering all of the shit that she is basically just pushing the experiment on Gemma and Mark, and I was like, no, no, I don't think I was cooking. I thought I was cooking, but no. She was pushing on on those experiments, though. But still, what I was trying to get on is that what if she purposely wants to be on the severed floor because she as a supervisor could eventually try to demand certain certain things from the board, if that makes sense. Like, her being in a position of power allows her the opportunity to talk to the people that are above her, right? Like, it's like, at least like it is like a, you're one step closer to them, so the chances of them agreeing to you is higher than if you are not a supervisor, if that makes sense. And her being in that power, in that position as well, would eventually allow her to finish her ulterior motive or her objective, which, if there is, we still don't know what it is yet, right? It is an imaginary ulterior motive that I am like conjuring up in my mind right now. But again, why does she want to be there in the first place, right? It's all a matter. All of these questions are all a matter of character motivations, right? Milchick apparently wants to be a supervisor. Why? Cobell also wants to stay as a supervisor despite getting promoted into a, let's just say it, a higher position where you don't have to worry much about like what your employees are doing every now and again with all that stress and all. You can just sit down, be an advisor, share your wisdom and whatever. She doesn't want that. It's obvious she doesn't want that. She wants to stay on the severed floor. But why? Why is that the case? Remains to be seen, man. I want to open their minds and see what it is inside of them. And I feel like by the end of this episode, as she is leaving, I feel like she eventually did accept the promotion. I feel like that, I don't know, I feel like that is the case, right? She's leaving the town because she is no longer required to work in this specific Lumen building, because we know there's a lot of them at this point. She's being sent off somewhere. We don't know where. Probably the Egan headquarters. But yeah. She was very reluctant to it though. It's a choice between like, do I take this job or do I stay jobless and have no purpose? At the very least, by taking this job as an advisory or whatever, like, she is getting closer to, like the board or whatever, but she is far away from the severed floor, and I feel like she is more concerned about the severed floor in this instance. So, again, priorities and why she wants to be there in the first place. Mystery. But it's also, again, the reason why I say like she could be a good person, or at least a person that could help us. Not necessarily a good person, but she could be a person that could help us in some capacity. It's because when Mark asked her about Gemma, she froze. I take that as she was contemplating if she wants to tell him or not. Like, if she wants to give him the hard confirmation. Because she knows by doing so, she is basically planting the seed of Lumen's destruction. By basically confirming to Mark that yes, your wife is alive, she is down there. Do what you will with it. I'm leaving. Then she's basically giving Mark like the prime opportunity to basically sue Lumen, to to take action against Lumen, to drive the plot super forward. Like, we're probably like skipping 5 episodes if we're going to the meta narrative here. She could have just said that, but she didn't. But she was contemplating it because she froze, because she doesn't know what to say. right? If she doesn't want any of that, she could have just flat out said no. She did not give an answer. The fact that she did not give an answer is an answer to Mark. She could have said no, but she didn't, which means yes. Because that's usually how it happens. That's usually how it goes. Ask somebody a yes or no question, and if they cannot answer, usually it means yes. Because if the answer is no, then they would have easily said no. You know what I mean? But yeah. The Gemma stuff, Mark, I feel like is 80% sure about what is currently happening. Audi Mark, I mean. Devin is goated, by the way, since we are also talking about this, because Devin, I feel like, immediately clocks it. She knows. She knows. She purposely hides the wedding photo from Milchick, right? Because she doesn't want Milchick to glance over and suddenly see, hey, hold on, wait a minute, that's a picture of, what were you doing, Mark? Right? She knows. She knows completely what is happening. She knows completely what is going on. And she was covering for Mark when Milchick was interviewing them. And then she called Mark to have this conversation again, in the bar. Really well done as well, because she is the one who is pressing for Mark. Mark was lashing out on her, which again, I kind of understand why he would do it. And honestly, Devin took it like a champ. Like, he was berating her. He was basically like yelling at her and whatever, but she was like very understanding of Mark's position. So again, like, really, really enjoyed Devin in this episode. Phenomenal. Great stuff. But she is becoming a problem for Lumen. They know about this, obviously, because one of the guys who, were listening to the conversation, and they just flat out said, like, Mark, not really fully into, the Gemma stuff yet, but his sister, on the other hand, very chatty. That makes it, again, like, that is worrying. Stay away from her. Don't do anything stupid. Which leaves us with Cold Harbor. I feel like that's the last thing that I want to talk about, because it's the thing that we don't have much information of. We saw a glimpse of it in the last episode. A text just basically saying Cold Harbor, and it is Gemma being experimented on, or being monitored at the very least. We don't know what it is. It is a code for sure. It could be it could be a place. It could actually be a place. It could be code, as I mentioned. Cold Harbor. Trying to figure out, like, what it could mean from the name alone. I don't know. Not much is popping out on my head for now when it comes to Cold Harbor. Winter comes into mind, considering in the opening we did see Mark walking out of the building or the curtain of the elevator into a wintry land, whilst also being viewed or monitored by Miss Cobell. That was an image, of course. Like I said, the opening is incredible. Really well done. I don't know, Cold Harbor. The other thing that is on my mind is, like, the idea of ferrying souls. If that make any sense? I don't know. Because, it's a harbor, you come and go by boat. You cross a vast sea or lake. I don't know. I don't know what to think about Cold Harbor at this point, except for the fact that we know what it is referencing of, but we don't know what it is exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know what else to say. It's a great second episode, a really juicy episode at that, because there's a lot they're showing here that that I feel like we could talk more of, but I feel like I've covered the essentials. Yeah, great episode. Love that we saw what the Audis are doing. Love that we also saw Dylan. I haven't talked about him that much in this episode. But yeah, you know, Dylan's segment in this episode I really enjoyed as well. Doors. Opening of the mind. I don't know. Thank you all so much for tuning in for Severance Season 2, Episode 2. This was a blast of an episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Have a nice day. Peace.